This is Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Hey, welcome back to the show. David Pakman here. Most popular item on the members podcast over the last week is last week's bonus show where I talked about whether or not I believe in UFOs. And you might be surprised about the answer. Also, we talked about what should happen to the Queen of England and plenty more. On today's bonus show, we'll talk about the time that I had an at-work incident where somebody said something incredibly anti-Semitic right to my face. We'll talk about Rick Sanchez's most absurd moments. We've got the emergency bra story, which Lewis has already put in an order for a gross of, these safe breathing mask bras. And in just a few minutes, we will give away the iPad. But first, I want to mention one other story. There's a new poll out, and this is kind of awkward, I guess. It's going to drive the religious zealots a little bit nuts, or they'll just call it a biased study. But first of all, none of us would be surprised that Americans don't know very much about world religion, right, Lewis?
I guess I'll have to agree with you there. Yeah, I think it's largely just, hell, it's a faith, right?
Right. But on the whole, they seem to not know much about American religions either. And to make matters worse, there was the study done with 32 questions about world religions. Those who scored highest on the survey were atheists and agnostics, followed by Jews and then Mormons. Atheist agnostics got about 21 questions out of 32 right, and Jews and Mormons got about 20. Evangelicals, only about 17. Catholics, only 16. And non-evangelical Protestants, under 16. Catholics did 25% worse on a world religion survey study than atheists and agnostics, and many of the questions were related specifically to Catholicism. I took this test. And you did too, right, Lewis?
I did.
Okay, please reveal your score. We took a different test. We didn't do the 32-question one. We did a 15-question test.
Mm-hmm.
How many did you get right?
I got 10 out of 15.
10 out of 15, all right. 2/3, that's not bad. I also took the test, and I got 13 out of 15 right. Now, I have to admit, one of those 15 is something that I had read when reading the study. So presumably, I maybe only got a 12, but I don't know. I guess I have to feel pretty good about that.
I don't feel too good about mine.
10 out of 15 is not where you want to be.
Well, there were some questions that weren't directly related to religion.
They were more historical,
political
right.
questions.
Who is responsible for such movement in some year? In any event, kind of interesting that here were the gimmies from the test. Public school teachers can't lead a class in prayer. 89% knew that. That's the question everybody did the best on. 85% knew what an atheist was. 82% knew Mother Teresa was Catholic. Those are the three that the majority of the plurality of respondents got right. Now, what don't people know? The toughest question was Maimonides was Jewish. Only 8% of respondents knew that. Followed by that was Jonathan Edwards, not the illegitimate child guy, politician from North Carolina, but Jonathan Edwards participated in the First Great Awakening. Only 11% knew that, and only 27% knew that most people in Indonesia are Muslim. Less than half of Americans know that the Dalai Lama is Buddhist. That was one that struck me as odd.
That's shocking.
Yeah, of all of these, Jonathan Edwards in the First Great Awakening, I know a lot of people that wouldn't know that as well. But not knowing that the Dalai Lama is Buddhist, that's a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating is that more education makes people much more likely to know about religion, but as we know from other studies, less likely to be religious. That is, the more education you have, the less likely you are to believe and have faith of a certain type of religion, but more likely to know about the various religions. I guess not a surprise, but maybe somewhat counterintuitive.
Well, I'm like we talked about before, I'm agnostic, but I'm fascinated by religion.
Well, hey,
and I love learning about religion.
If you want to know more about God, you have to talk to an atheist or agnostic. That's very clear. What's the lesson here? People believe in what they believe for social reasons and not because they actually know anything about what they believe, right? That seems to be the answer to me.
I guess so.
And the same thing could be said about global warming, by the way.
Right.
Midweek Politics is made possible in part by the Daily Hampshire Gazette and GazetteNet.com, connecting our communities with local news and information. By DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at DIFdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.